This video should be interesting.
This is Matteo Condalucci, a former nightclub bouncer. But back in 1994, that wasn't the only thing he was famous for.
Oh, his mustache?
He was convicted of child molestation in Florida.
You'd be infamous for that, not famous, guys. Come on.
After serving 5 years in prison, he was back on the streets, and in 2007, another case emerged, this time from Sarpy County, Nebraska. He had raped a 13-year-old girl and only served 2 years in prison. Prosecutors feared him, labeling him as a, quote, dangerous sex offender, even after his release from prison in 2009. During his time, Condalucci turned to religion and became a pastor. He preached about
Oh my god, he's fitting all the fucking molds here.
forgiveness, but his past continued to haunt him. He moved to Omaha and started serving meals to the homeless, hoping to find redemption in their eyes.
Okay.
He gave haircuts and talked about the power of love.
I don't care. I don't care if he changed. He should have died the moment he raped the 13-year-old. That's my take on it. If anybody's wondering anything, that's how I feel from this moment on.
For a time, it seemed as though he had turned his life around. Now, of course, we can't zoom past the fact that he did just 5 years for rape in 1994 and 2 years in 2007. Just before his 1994 arrest, he made an enemy who would later go to the ends
Nothing
of the
should force you on a
world to
13-year-old.
have him
Exactly.
destroyed.
Mental illness and
This
fucking
was
weird,
Laura
strange
Smith,
tendencies.
who had just moved in with him, unaware of the danger she was bringing into her home. In May of 1993, one night she had gone out for a late grocery run, leaving her son in the care of Condalucci. What she did not know was that this former nightclub bouncer had a twisted fascination with young children. When she returned home, she found her son crying violently in the bathroom. Condalucci tried to brush it off, claiming the child had just wet the bed. But Laura knew something was wrong. Her son had never wet the bed before. As they left the house the next day, her son quietly told her, quote, "Mommy, I got something I got to tell you."
You can't do it. You can't do it. If it's mental illness, still, it's fucking obviously. I agree. That's half understandable, but it's like, at least make the consequences like much more, you know, make it make sense. 4 years? Was it 2 years or 4 years? I don't remember. But whatever it was, it should have been fucking 20 years to life in prison.
And in that
Like,
instant,
easily.
Laura knew that her
2?
worst
Jesus
fears had come
Christ.
true. Condalucci was sentenced to 4 years of probation and drug counseling after he pleaded no
Just
contest
probation?
in 1994 to attempted lewd and lascivious assault upon a child. But Laura's satisfaction was short-lived.
Dude looks like a fucking
Condalucci
pedo.
continued his sinister ways, manipulating and preying on vulnerable children. In 2007, he was convicted of raping a 13-year-old girl and was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Okay.
But even
That's
behind bars, his dark
still not enough.
influence lingered. He was released in half that time for good behavior, and the world was once again exposed to his dangerous presence.
There's no such thing as good behavior after you rape a child. I've always made this, like, metaphor where I said, like, bad people can do good. It doesn't make them a good person. For example, I'm sure Hitler has held the door for some old people, right? Is he a good person? No. But in that moment, did he do something good? Yes. Just because he was fucking behaving in prison, which is all you could really fucking do. You know, for him to misbehave, he would get murdered. Look at him. They probably know he's a pedo. He's walking in eggshells. Letting him off is crazy. Judge was in a good mood. Yeah, I guess fucking so.
That she watched in horror as her son struggled to cope with the trauma he had endured. To her son, the drugs were a temporary escape from the pain, but that only made things worse.
Right.
He died later due to a drug overdose, and
What
she
the fuck?
continued to blame him and also turned to Facebook,
Jesus.
hoping to warn other mothers of the danger that lurked in the shadows. In over a dozen posts on a Facebook page naming her son's abuser, Laura wrote about the manipulative tricks that Condalucci used on single mothers.
The predator preys on single mothers to get his hands on her children. He moves from state to state. He must be stopped. He has been convicted twice, but back on the streets.
To get his hands on their children.
Jesus Christ.
She knew that the only way to stop him was to expose him for the monster that he was.
That's how you usually stop pedophiles.
Now, even with his sick past, Condalucci had a
So you
family.
got people like Gideon.
A daughter named Amanda and a son named Joseph. Even though he was taken away for just 7 years of her life, the rest of the years he spent torturing and sexually abusing his own daughter, Amanda.
I've had to live in fear for 34 years. And it has been the worst pain that I could imagine. And so when I finally got the phone call, yes, I was relieved. I couldn't wait to have him cremated. I couldn't. And I know that sounds horrible, but he took my life and many other lives before he died. We might still be living, but when you molest and rape children and your own child, you automatically took their lives.
A tearful relief for Amanda as she cries not about her father's death, but about the experience she and many other kids went through. Justice wasn't exactly served here, but to her, this is still a win.
I'm not at all saying I agree with murder.
I do.
But when you've been...
You should murder pedophiles, you should murder rapists. Alright, David. Looks like you should die now. You're literally both.
Violated so many times, and the justice system has failed you as many times as it's failed me.
40 terabytes of evidence, by the way,
you could hope
for David.
In the news report, she shared the horrid details of the house and how
Before
she was
you guys
the
go defend him
first-hand
in the comment
witness
section.
to his crimes. Crimes which she could not take to the police, fearing that it would just be a few years in prison and then death for her. After he was gone,
should be stopped until he
can sweep the house.
Can only speak vowels.
That this man had not.
They should curb stomp him. Yeah, we should bring back curb stomping before like these guys: rapists, pedophiles, and murderers.
Not changed even after 7 years of doing time. The interviewer asked her whether more kids would have been victims had he not died. Amanda's answer was chilling, to say the least.
I found children's clothing in his house.
What the fuck?
When I was packing his house, and I found little boys' pants, khaki pants. They weren't new. They had stains on the knees like they had been playing in the yard or something. I found little girls' blouses. I found a pair of little girls' panties. Panties. No. I don't think he was going to stop. No, I know he wasn't going to stop.
Yeah, people like that never
stop. You get the picture. This man was tormenting little kids with his playground and was self-loathing in his pedophilic behavior day after day. Amanda later made it clear that it's registries like sex offender registries that can't be ignored.
I can't say it with any more passion than do your research. That's what the registry is for. Know who you are allowing your children around.
Yeah.
If your children has been with somebody for the day and they're acting strange, they're not themselves, talk to them.
Meanwhile, on the other side, his son Joseph claimed that his father was a changed man.
I believe he was doing what he could to turn his life around, yeah. I mean...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if he was doing good, it doesn't matter. He already did the bad. And the bad is so bad that it can't be outdone or undone.
Who's to say, who's to say, exactly what it takes to, turn your life around from something like that.
But obviously, as a man, he can't quite understand what his sister went through.
I wish rapists had an option to get out of jail by beating a group of 5 people. Also, this guy, it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a fucking girl. It's not man or woman. This guy's a retard. It's called common sense. Like, that's all it is.
She saw and experienced the pain herself.
Like, guys get molested too.
Go
boys.
away for life or get a death sentence. And when
that
the
guy's just dumb.
Failed to deliver on this, in came James Fairbanks.
Who the fuck is this guy?
On May 14th, 2020, James Fairbanks killed Matteo Condalucci.
Okay, I wasn't worried. He looked like a pedophile. He's a pedophile killer. My bad. Never judge a book by its cover, Cal.
There was no investigation needed here because he commented his entire confession under the post.
It's not a confession. He wanted credit. This guy wanted credit.
There was no investigation needed here because he commented his entire confession under the
W
post published in
Mans.
the Omaha Scanner Facebook group. He wrote that he was out apartment searching and checking the neighborhoods when he, quote, stumbled across his sex offender registry info. He read about Condalucci, especially the part where he had, quote, been convicted twice, yet only served 2 years in prison.
That is fucking crazy.
Now, of course, he didn't act.
Why kill them when you can kill the judges too? Don't do it. I'm joking. But I'm just saying if anybody deserved to die or deserves any accountability, it's also the people that sentenced him. Now, I don't think the judges should get fucking murdered. I don't think you guys should go out there and start murdering people, right? Because sometimes it could be a fucking misunderstanding. Most of the times it probably isn't. And you probably killed somebody that had a misunderstanding. Because some people could get falsely accused. I will say that. Most of the times, no, right? But like that's why you don't take into your own like hands, right, to kill people. I don't condone violence. But I do believe they should get the shit beat out of them if you have substantial evidence. Don't kill them. Don't throw your life away for them because that's just letting them win. Beat them up, serve a few fucking days, get out of there. Have a life, raise your family, teach your kids to be away from people like this. Teach other families to do their research before they move into an area with people like this. But do not kill them and throw your life away. I think that is dumb.
On this, but he did write in his confessions that, quote,
like beat them up,
he was standing
okay?
in the driveway pretending to wash his truck. No soap or water, just a
I'm not
rag.
telling you to, but like,
While staring
if you're gonna do anything, then beat them up. Don't kill them.
Group of children playing in the street, he just kept staring at them. The kids thankfully
I'll root
left
for you.
and he went inside. It's as if his lust had not ended, and the 2 years he spent taught him nothing. He found more dirt about him online. Even the Predator Facebook page about him, which was made by the woman Laura Smith. He also confessed that he, quote, worked with kids for years who have been victimized and couldn't in good conscience allow him to do it to anyone else while he had the means to stop him. He concluded by saying, quote, I know in this messed up judicial system that means I will face far more severe punishment for stopping him than he did for raping kids, but I could no longer do nothing. What you're about to see is a teacher turned killer who just...
That is a Chad. This guy is a Chad. But if you lose to a pred, die? I guess. No, this guy's not losing. Look at him. Look at this fucker. Yeah. This guy's a fucking Chad. That's a cool teacher. It sucks though that he did throw his life away. I will say that. Because he could have just beat the shit out of him, right? And then kids would have praised him. He got to get his job back. Everything would have been normal again. But like killing him, unfortunately, there are laws for people like this. That's why the death penalty should be a thing instantly for rapists and pedophiles. I believe that. So people like this don't throw their lives away.
Sex offender.
Well, in the original email I sent, I kind of started it to explain basically, like I said, I was out kind of searching for an apartment. I work in the area. My goddaughters live in the area, and they spend a lot of time with me. And my son was looking to move in with me possibly. And I have two jobs. One of them was for OPS. Another one was working overnights, a few nights a week, in the halfway house that I was working at. So I had wanted to make sure, because there were going to be certain nights, you know, my teenage son and goddaughters would be left alone. I just thought, you know, I better check to make sure right here in this big direct area there isn't a convicted sex offender, you know, so to speak, living right next door or something, because I would be home every night.
Yikes.
And it turned out there was.
Moving into his new apartment, he found Condalucci, a registered sex offender, living free. He double-checked the information on whether this information was old, and even though it was, his actions were still the same. He also noticed that he had a kid's playground in his backyard, a disturbing excuse to lure kids. But it wasn't enough, so he had to dig into more details about this guy to make sure if he was a potential threat or not.
I've had personal experience. When I was a kid, I personally wasn't molested, but a loved one was, and I don't want to get.
With all the Preds getting slapped, we'd be fucked if they start taking up MMA. Yeah. Imagine being a predator and being good at MMA, and then you just can't stop them. That shit's scary.
Into that
Fuck.
too much because they have chosen not to speak about it, so I don't want to.
They might take up
more than
self-defense because of it.
I witnessed it, and the situation happened, and then again, like I said, when working, I've watched the kids over the years that I've worked with. Just so many of them confide in me the torment and the pain that they're going through with their abuse that they've suffered, and I've watched them grow up and become drug addicts and just have no self-worth, and I've
That
seen,
is sad.
the lifelong
I will say.
suffering that so many of these kids endure at that age because I have such first-hand
Give me a second, I'm
knowledge.
still here.
I think I was just like it was bothering me.
As a former victim and someone who worked with kids, he could not stand it. Before he could do the worst, he had to give a message in the strictest way possible. But when that didn't work, he took matters into his own hands.
Well, that's what
I
happened.
didn't feel like there was, like I said, anybody I could turn to with all this, so I decided I was going to go over there and threaten him, basically, was my intention, to go over there and let him know, look, I know who you are, I watched you the other day, if you touch any of these kids, you're not going to get another slap on the wrist from the justice system. I'm coming next time. Next time you touch one of these kids, you're going to deal with me. I brought a gun, as I said, obviously, I approached his house. He opened the door. He saw me coming.
I wouldn't have used a gun. I would have used, if I was gonna kill him, I would have just used my bare hands. Genuinely. I would have.
I pulled the gun.
Like, if I were to throw my life away, I would use my hands.
Told him to back up, and I went to.
And this guy definitely cares about his students. You're right. Yeah. I get him on that too. I see why this is personal. And then he's also been through it too. Based on what they just said, right? He was also a victim in the past of this.
Have the conversation, or basically just to tell him.
So I get it.
Exactly what I just said. Look, you touch those kids, there's going to be some punishment.
See, I'm not saying he's the bad
It's
guy.
not gonna be.
I just wish that he didn't have to go to prison for the rest of his life for killing a bad guy. And like, some people have to think about that before they throw their lives away. Which is why laws should really fucking change to where the death penalty is for these type of people.
Another probation or slap on the wrist or anything like that. As soon as I started talking, he came forward, and immediately, again, he was a 6 foot, 300 plus pound man. I knew I had to shoot, or who knows what was going to happen. Again, I mean, I'm willing to take responsibility for the fact
6
that I
foot,
went over to his
300
house
pounds.
with a gun to threaten him, and what happened and what transpired. My intention was not to walk over there and just shoot him, period. That's what ended up happening.
One bullet
They're
pierced
stocking up
his
his account.
forehead, and the
Dude, this guy's kind of like Gacy. One bullet pierced his forehead. Damn.
other bullets hit his back and chest. Overall, he
Damn, he went boom, boom, boom.
was shot 7 times. Fairbanks pled no contest to second-degree murder, and on July 14th, 2021, he was sentenced to 40 to 70 years in prison.
Yeah, man. You didn't have to do that, bro. Can you guys let him off on good behavior after 2 years?
All for taking matters into his own hands. In the aftermath, people took sides. Remember Laura Smith? She thought that Fairbanks shouldn't get jail time at all. Remember Condalucci's daughter, Amanda Henry? She argued that Fairbanks should only get probation. She knew the horrors that her father was capable of, but she couldn't condone murder, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Fairbanks' ex-wife, Kelly Tomeo, who had sought protection orders against him in the past,
Dude, look at his
also
wife.
voiced her support.
His
She
ex-wife.
knew that
She's
her
ripped as fuck.
ex-husband had a good heart and was willing to do what was necessary to protect the kids, something that he was grateful for despite being behind bars.
I want to point out a couple of things also, and that is I've been deeply grateful and appreciate all the support that I've received from the Free James Fairbanks campaigns and the petitions.
But these petitions isn't gonna do anything. That's not John Wayne Gacy. That's John Wayne raped me. That's crazy. Bro, I don't know who the bigger clown is.
All of those things online. I am asking, though, that those people channel their efforts
Ironically, this guy does look more like Gacy. Unfortunately.
elsewhere to changing these laws to actually doing something other than free.
He got fat in jail, huh?
I can handle
Prison.
whatever I have coming my way.
Usually it's like they get ripped.
The point of all of this is I just get off, then I think we missed a chance to actually do something, and that's take this momentum that seems to be out there and freeing me and channeling it to the district attorney and the judges and the legislators and go, we need tougher penalties. We need to stop cutting these deals that allow men like him to molest children for decades and only serve minimum sentences and be allowed to
don't let him out.
into our neighborhoods alone and put up playgrounds in their backyards and just look for their next victims. I wish the DA would go after them the way they're going after me. To be perfectly honest, I get no bail. I'm first degree. I'm in jail with a whole bunch of guys in here that are getting prosecuted for not raping children, and they're getting prosecuted harder than a lot of the
You are getting prosecuted for murder, though. I think your prosecution is perfectly fine, and what's happening to you should happen. But I also think that what's happening to the rapists and the killers and murderers, I think they should have the same prosecution. I don't think this is any better or worse. Murder is murder. I would say that it should never, like, that's the law, right? If you murder somebody, you get life in prison. Everybody knows this. But I also think that you should make rape and everything else life in prison, like pedophilia, or kill them. That's it. I don't think you should lower what murder is. I think you should increase what the other thing is.
molesters, and why that is in the justice system, I don't know. It's got to stop, though, and it's got to change. Quite honestly, I don't think me
Like,
and Mr. Connolly
I get why he did what he did,
contact,
but I'm sure he knows it's fucking wrong to murder people.
repeat sex offender. You just shouldn't be alone living amongst kids in a neighborhood.
In his expression of gratitude, he didn't want the world to lose sight of the lesson of not allowing
He's like a martyr.
sex offenders a small-time conviction and giving them life or death in prison.
Exactly what I said. That's it.
His story resembles to some extent with the infamous Stephen Marshall. And if you don't know who he is, he killed 29 out of 34 sex offenders listed on the main registry. He used
What the fuck?
to think the pedophiles were, quote, scums of the earth.
He's
took
right.
matters into his own hand before taking his own life. But that's a story for another day. A
Why kill
petition
yourself?
on change.org has garnered immense support, with over 58,000 signatures calling for the pardon of James Fairbanks. However,
Isn't that scary that, like, being on the registry is actually being a target for people to murder you? Because you come across potential, like, serial killers?
Fairbanks himself
That
has
hate you.
expressed a willingness to accept a plea bargain for the crimes he believes he's accountable for.
Yeah.
In exchange, he's urging the county attorney and state legislatures to reform the way convicted sex offenders are punished and tracked.
That's fair.
Despite his offer, Fairbanks is also willing to face trial, as he has doubts about whether a jury would unanimously convict him of first-degree murder if they had access to all the facts. This development has created an intriguing and complex situation that highlights the need for both judicial reform and individual accountability. The victim's son acknowledged his father's criminal history, but he didn't believe that Fairbanks had the right to take the law into his own hands. This compelled the interrogator to ask whether his actions could inspire the world to have more James Fairbanks and Stephen Marshalls out there, but his response was simple and smooth.
Sex offender, convicted sex offender, who says that now they're afraid because their names and addresses are posted online for anybody to come do that. Well, what would you say to others?
That's
who,
the point. That's why he
are
did it.
seeing sex offenders living in their area and upset about that.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's fucking a bad guy for doing it. I'm saying they deserved it. But I don't think he should throw his life away for it. And I also think that he should face accountability for murder and not act like, oh, murder isn't a bad thing. Like, it's still a crime, right? But I do think that he's right about them, I guess, they're not getting punished enough. Yeah. If he's doing this so that they can start getting punished more and change the law, then yeah, do it. But do understand that there are accountabilities. Right? Don't act like there's no accountabilities, is my point.
Well, as far as the sex offenders that are upset,
But yeah, those guys fucking deserve to die.
they feel in fear or scared, vulnerable because of what I did. Congratulations. Now you know what your victims feel like.
Ooh, that was cold. As always, Bears, take care, stay safe, and don't die. Oxana, cue the music.